Hello and welcome everyone to the Paladins Minor League. It's a nice Tuesday morning, and we're going to get jumping right into this one. It's going to be a very interesting day coming through, but my name's Gormizer. Joining me on the desk for this first set, it's going to be none other than Pretty Hair, and we get to watch, well, if you can see the colors and maybe saw some of the logos, all business, going up against Blazing Stars first.
Yes, sir. This one not meaning too much, but it's a good barometer to kind of measure these two teams. Things are starting to wind down here in this phase of the minor league. We do have some big matchups that do matter for seedings and standings and things like that. So I'm looking forward to getting into those.
Yeah, and this is actually one of those ones where, for me, it's kind of just showcasing where all business have ended up, because they had such turmoil in their rosters for the first few weeks, and trying to figure out where Blazing Hussars and whether or not they've kind of locked down their personal style, I guess is the way to word it, because they've been having a rough few weeks. But specifically with all business, again, a lot of roster changes initially that kind of came into what we see now, and Hussars has been one of the players who has been probably the most notable and prominent in terms of DPS.
Yeah, playing a good bit of blaster for that squad. It's a very, very important role. Obviously, it's been a bit of a tumultuous phase for the blaster guys, right?
Yeah.
EV's definitely come up. I think Bomb King and Drogos have definitely fallen down. This is probably close to the lowest Drogos has ever been prioritized. He's been through a lot of changes, but throughout them all has found a way to at least stay relevant and stay pretty strong in most cases. So for Hussars to stay as relevant as he has definitely shows the prowess of that type of player.
And the EV has been something that was very big. I feel like it's one of those things, obviously, we saw on PPL, specifically because of the fact that we have been in land meta for PPL.
Definitely.
But it's not been quite as big, I want to say, in the minor league until, I want to say, Simsaloo, really, like, at least for Europe, kind of showed people what you can do with it. I think a lot of players have been able to bring the EV, but Bomb King and then Drogos, who has kind of disappeared from the meta as of late, been very, very big.
Right, so playing those projectile characters, making sure that he finds a nice and relevant way to do damage, 3-1 on that scoreboard, and the boys just never let up, right? They've really started to improve. You know, this is Ross that has gone through kind of their ups and downs, especially at the beginning of the phase, and for the minor league, it's just a step in the right direction, right? This was a big reestablishing moment for them. The league's working a little bit different. You know, records are carrying out throughout the year, so you have to play a longer phase, and you have to set up a team for the long haul. You can't be flip-flopping around and just making land and quad. It's going to reset, right? Everything is going to matter for the duration of the year.
Well, looking at their opponents for this, it's going to be Blazing Hussars. I think the first time these met, Blazing Hussars won. The last time they met, All Business won. And kind of going in and looking at blaster players, Andrew Doodle, who's someone who, again, at the beginning of the split, we were like, this guy's going to be making strides for them. And admittedly, he has. He almost always has a very consistent performance. And admittedly, when it comes down to him and Hussars, they're going to have a lot of overlapping champions.
Right. We were really wondering with the conversion of the PPL to a LAN league and a lot of those players just not being able to make the life adjustment to come all the way over to Alpharetta to play and live and travel and whatever it is. I know Doodle's a pretty young guy, so making that type of life adjustment, it's a big decision and probably one that he was not able to make alone. I don't know what he would have chosen if he was able to make it alone, but he's been a guy that was great for the minor league, right? You always look at how many PPL players does this team have. That's like kind of our gauge for how strong we thought a team would be as they came into this phase. Doodle has certainly lived up to expectations, but Blazing Hussars as a whole still haven't really been able to put it together.
And we'll just forget that 1 week where for some reason Andrew Doodle came in and played supports 3 games in a row. That one was a weird one.
I actually don't remember that.
It was an interesting match, I think, to say the least. It is not exactly where you expect him to go, but you can see Ice Mines, Timber Mill, Frog Isle, Jaguar Falls, banned away. Serpent Beach going to be available for this first map. And this is kind of an interesting place to go just because of the fact that I think most teams, I mean, at this point, like, they know Serpent Beach really well. Like, to get your foot forward on this map, I think, is a little more difficult.
This is a pretty, I would say, polarizing draft map. I think you can lose the draft on Serpent Beach fairly hard. With things like Maeve and Eevee flipping around and controlling the high ground, I think if you're not able to really play those characters confidently, which doesn't necessarily apply to this matchup, I think both these guys have EVs. I think both these guys might even be able to run a Maeve. Maeve has been a big conversation around the minor league. She's starting to appear more and more often, be very impactful, being played in the PPL. Just for players that enjoy it right now, though, it's a pretty stylistic thing. I don't think everyone's got a Maeve in the pool, and part of the reason we talk about that is because She's never really been super meta before. There was a small little window there where she had a bunch of damage reduction cards where she was getting played a good amount.
Yeah.
But before that, and really after that, there really hasn't been a lot of reason to pick up Maeve. Not a lot of people have really felt the need to, invest a ton of time to get really good at that character.
Well, we have Makoa coming through, which is something I think that we've gotten to see more in the last, I think, 2 weeks of minor league play than pretty much every other week combined. Just because Makoa, normally is going to be taking up the ban, but Blazing Hussars obviously have their own issues they want to deal with by banning out the Eevee and the Ashe. And there's going to be the Maeve, which has been very big on this map. And I actually believe I remember seeing Andrew Doodle specifically be one of the first players to start picking her up in the minor league.
Yep, and running the Cat Burglar style. I think most people have taken that over. There was a nice split, I think, when we saw Maeve as like a niche pip. Yeah, it was a lot of Street Justice. She was being picked up in response to double shielding front lines like Khan and Fernando, because the Pounce can go right on through. And you're typically popping your shield as a front line when you start to get low HP, and you want to try and stay below that 35% threshold, and Maeve was able to go right through your shield, execute you out of the game and off the map. No high ground mobility for all business, though. Regardless of that, a fairly strong lineup overall.
Well, supports have been probably the biggest question mark over the last little bit. You have the Maeve, you have Leon, you have Cassie, you have Amani, so staple damage dealers, but how do you feel about the Furia?
The Fury has been good. It's kind of carries the same caveats that it always have with Solar Blessing. You have to be able to connect those. I think 9 times out of 10, you really can't afford to miss many of those. I think her ultimate's very good. Ultimate bringing that damage reduction and move speed for 8 seconds. If Genos is so good because of that damage amp, right, why not give double the amount damage amp to attacks and abilities for 8 seconds?
Her ult is really very strong. Really good. But we have to go down to the casters, see how they're going to be feeling about this Serpent Beach and these drafts.
Thanks, guys. Welcome down to the casting room, live in Studio 5. Rain Day and Dolson over here to start the day.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, how you feeling about The Bachelorette? No, I'm kidding. We already talked about that.
How much time do we have?
How much time do we have? Not enough before this game gets started. But how you feeling about these drafts?
I'm excited
about this Furia as well.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is where the Furia stands. We've sort of always seen either a really good Furia that pays off in dividends, or a Furia that's just not really able to keep up to speed with some of the other healing in the game. So the big question is the Furia going to be up to par with the rest of the healing coming out from the other side? Maeve as well is really good on this map. We talk about mobility, vertical mobility, side-to-side mobility, especially Doodle playing the Maeve on top of that.
Yep.
I think Surretts will be in a good spot here to have a pretty good game for himself.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to manipulate that Solar Blessing, but the Inara is a good, I think, opportunity for him to succeed in that realm. Obviously, a nice little, I believe that's the Mixer Furious skin, if I'm not mistaken. Looks very beautiful. Surret's going to do his dang thing, and Solar Blessing should be coming up relatively soon. They don't want to waste it, and actually, that whiff. So the first one does not go their way, and guess what? A death follows. My goodness, all business off to a good start.
That is arguably the worst start if you're on the side of Blazing Hussars. So not only do you lose First Blood, you lose the high ground. Now all business can just kind of plant themselves up there. They have the range, they have the vision as well. Leon Cassie fighting back into that, especially with 75% already on the point. It's going to be tough for all business to get back in there. Hussars, excuse me, to get back in there. They're going to give it a shot.
Wow.
Just too short, and some kills are going to come out on the back end.
Yeah, Coriel, even though he goes down, still gets the job done. Ineffable has been very strong for this team. Doodle trying to keep a lid onto the Cassie, but with the Leon providing not only extra burst, but that auto aim, that cleave, it's just been very hard for her to do the work that she needs to do. It's been an interesting saga for Andrew Doodle in the PML. Very young player, very great guy. Met him and his father back at one of our previous lands last year, only 15 years old at the time, and probably about 16 as of this moment, and gone down from the PPL and into the PML and had mixed success, but still a very talented player. A lot of upside if he keeps on working hard.
Yeah, I think upside is the right way to word that, and that, I mean, he's had, and the team in general has had really good, really tough games throughout this split here in the minor league. Lots of really good players, really good teams to have to go up against. But he's always kind of been a shining light, per se, on this Hussars team. I mean, they're all good players. But Doodle's kind of the guy, every once in a while, you'll see him really pop off, really carry a game.
Yeah.
And they'll look for more of the same here today. Maeve is definitely a character that allows for some pop-off. A couple kills traded back and forth here, though. About a minute left. All Business, though, they're the ones finding the kills.
Yeah, the problem is All Business have a much more consistent team comp to perform. Andrew Doodle with the Maeve, even Amani with the Pyre Bomb and getting that splitting ice. She's got to be in the right spot, and they're getting bursted down too efficiently. They've got what I consider the best point tank in the game, and they've got what many have always considered the best aggro tank in the game in Makoa. Their lineup is not suffering at all, and neither is their play. Especially
when you have Ineffable on the Cassie. I mean, when you have a first side to this map that's so low kills sort of in general, 5-0-0 on Cassie.
Yeah.
For Ineffable, I mean, that's really the only slash line you really need to look at off of this side, of course. Graphies held his own, did top damage in that round, but finding the kills, Closar, Ineffable, that 1-2 punch was just enough to get that push through for All Business.
Well, we'll see if Blazing Hussars can change the pace here. Not enough credits to make any significant changes to their itemization, so still with cauterized ones, majority of the team. Big game, it's going to land, and 575 during Earthen Guard, not too shabby at all. We do have ultimates, and there it is. It's going to be Furia activating hers, and in response, Coriel's going to go into the Ancient Range.
I mean, on top of that, I mean, that's an interesting trade in my eyes. I mean, you'll be happy getting the Ancient Rage out, I think, in exchange for a Midnight. You'll be a little sad that you weren't able to, like, really capitalize on the lack of vision on the opposite side, but still getting aggressive here is Closar. If he's able to clean up Surrette's, this could be really big. Enlightenment goes just wide. Doodle gets aggressive. The Leon goes down, and now the Hussars, they have control of the high ground.
Yeah, risky Enlightenment. I think that was just a bad, maybe overconfident play by Closar, but a shot by William Birkin. Wow. Takes down Andrew Doodle. He may go down here, but it's not so certain. Very close. It took a very long time, but they do find the kill. All Business now having to get back onto the point, but Coriel has respawned.
This is the zone they need. They need 2-2'd up here, get some dismounts, get the zone out. 58% for the Hussars. They have fast cap as well. The hook just missing off to the side. Blazing Hussars still controlling this high ground on the backside. Coriel's getting aggressive, though. Shell Shield is going to keep him alive. Kamiker needs to stay alive.
Ooh.
Look at that Furia healing, topping him off.
Yeah.
2-2 finds a kill. Overtime ticks away in favor of the Hussars.
And that's why you have to pressure the Furia in this type of situation. Another Inflame. Oh boy, the movement speed and the damage. It's going to be so difficult, giving every one of those weapon attacks 30% more damage. It is just dangerous. Damage amp, so critical and crucial in Paladins. The Genos and the Furia, both different ways, amping the weapons. Torvald, the only one to amp both in the weapons and the abilities with that bubble, why he's so valuable at that high level.
We talk about Furia as a healer and how, well, important she can be. The Inara was basically able just to sit on the point. You saw how much damage Kamiker had absorbed. He was so low, and then the moment that healing beam came through from Surrette's just topped off Kamiker, and that just extends one of the longest. Inara is one of the point tanks that can stand there the longest in the game just because she has the largest health pool. And then when you add in one of the top healing in the game on top of that, it's going to be really hard to break through. Blazing Hussars make perfect use of it here in this case. And now they have a pretty good zone going in here. Doodle has the Midnight back as well. They could tie this one up 2-2.
Yeah, Maeve with pressure, it's great. But, of course, when you get hooked by Makoa, it's not going to be an easy way out. Coriel finishes that off, albeit Andrew Doodle did make it out of the initial clutches of the monster from the deep. Coriel with a double there and looking to make it a triple.
Almost do it. Does. It's an unofficial triple for Makoa in this case. And that's why you pick him up early. I mean, Blazing Hussars, they're the ones who are on the front foot right now, maybe pushing this one through, but you cannot forget, you mentioned it early, the All Business lineup is about as stacked as you could hope for. Cassie, Leon, Damba, Makoa, Barrack. You have something, one of the top characters for each specific role on your team. It's just making the most of the lineup that you've given yourself here, trying to get the high ground now. Kamiker does it, forces Closar down, but he's able to get a kill. He's able to clean that one up, though. Ineffable trades back with one.
And I think Klosar finding Andrew Doodle there, Kammaker made a really nice flank. That's some nice min-maxing and a way for Anar to get up there without Summit. Although people will run Summit 4, Summit 5. We've seen Sheepa do it here. I love doing it. It's a ton of fun. Why wouldn't you? But all business, able to stabilize yet again. And their pressure, if they can see you coming, it's just too much damage, I think, for the Blazing Hussars.
No, I think you're pretty spot on here. Ineffable has had a great first 3 points here on Serpent Beach, and if he continues that way, I mean, he's got a lot of juicy targets to go into. Inara, Khan, Fury, I mean, anyone. That big game damage is going to be ripping through you right now. Two Toots the target in his eyes at the moment. Look at that. He just gets chunked down so low, 690. One more shot could do it. He dashes in. Xenost is going to be the one to get the kill, though. Coriel with one as well. 3 members for all business firing away right now. Make it 4.
Yeah.
A successful defense for him now.
Ineffable is a problem, and you can see it there. It felt like a futile effort from the Khan to actually try to fight through what Ineffable was bringing with the big game, and the Cassie feeling the rays of summer, excited to be out in the swimwear, or at least in the cabana wear, as she is taking any matchup that she likes.
We are on the beach.
We are on the beach. The Serpent Beach, and it's nighttime, so maybe didn't get that part of the beach memo, but you're right.
8-3-5 for Ineffable. Again, that's sort of where my eyes go. The rest of the team, Coriel as well. It's sort of been, all right, Makoa's going to get in your face, and then Ineffable just kind of hangs back, finds the damage, does the rest of the thing. Grafies, you have to give him a nod as well. Top damage in the game. On a losing side as well. That's always impressive to see. This high ground fight, though, is going to dictate it. The overpower, that's going to be good to start things off for the Hussars.
And, you know, he cannot, as long as he stays held, he's going to be essentially locked out of doing any movement, and so he can't activate any abilities, cannot use that Ancient Rage to get out of a bad situation. So, very early use to grab control. That's exactly where they need to be with the Inara and the Furia. Let's see if they can hold on to it.
I think they'll be absolutely happy to trade that out. Look here, all business now. They're fighting back up to the top. The Midnight's going to put them on the back foot even more so. Anon and Flame is going to get things rolling for the Hussars right now, dashing back into it, get some healing as well. Makoa Ancient Rages as a result. The Dread Serpent and the Dome Shield all flying out now.
Now Grafies has her dragon killed instantly, and that's not what Amani wants. Ineffable. Oh, is he going to activate? No, he just somehow is able to make it out. The Pyre Bomb does not affect him. The Frost Bomb, excuse me, and now Ineffable firing away with that big game. It's only going to take a blast shot to close out Reds. He falls down thanks to Klosar. They've angled, wow, everything perfectly, and I don't think Blazing Hussars are getting out of this.
That high ground retake was perfect for all business. They were on the back foot there. Wasn't sure if they were going to be able to win it, but they use their ultimates properly. They find the damage. Ineffable pops off on the Cassie, retake the high ground, win the point, win the game.
Great stuff there. All business looking pretty good. Blazing Hussars have to get their motors revving. Maybe it's just early morning kind of sluggishness there. But a decent lineup from both teams. The Mave a little bit more high-oriented to try to get the value out of it, though, Dave.
Yeah, that was kind of the high-risk play, I think, on the opposite side. They were really looking into that, really leaning into that. Because there were so many times where Doodle would be like around the back end of the entire fight, and the rest of the team just sort of fell in the meantime, and he wasn't really able to impact it.
I mean, he's that scout you send out into the middle of the night in war, and you hope he comes back, gives you some info. If he gets taken out, and then the army shows up without him, you're like, wow, this really put us on the back foot. Let's send it back to the desk here. You ready for game 2?
Well, a lot of really good moments there for all business. Throughout the entire map, and they get to take their Serpent Beach pick, which I'm sure they're happy about. But this is one of those things, like, I was actually really excited. First off, Makoa making it through is always something that is devastating. But I actually like the kind of the bounce off that Cassie, Leon, and Barrack have with each other, where it's just like, when it came down to like tracking a Mave, almost anybody on the team could just shoot her down.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said when you win with a composition that doesn't have any necessarily high ground control, but I think the casters bring up a good point where if this Mave is flanking around, that is valuable time that you have to 4v5, right? If you see her kind of go for a scenic route flank, or you just don't see her at all, then you know you probably have that 4v5 for another 5-10 seconds maybe. And when you already have drafted a superior sort of on level footing team fight with this power backline of Cassie, Leon, you got yourself a Makoa, you really can command the 4v5 and really do a good job kind of owning that.
Well, and you can see they did a lot of work, 10-4, 7-4 there between the two of them, Ineffable and Closar. And I will, again, shout-outs to Graphies for top damage, but it just wasn't quite enough. Again, a lot of poke, especially with splitting ice, you get a lot of extra damage on top of that. But it was going to be Closar, I think, kind of making some of the more impactful things. Obviously, Ineffable, the 10-4 and 7, made sure things went well. And it's so... I don't know how to describe this other than using like the word bland. Like this is just a very draft, right? Like it's like there's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing out of the ordinary. There's nothing even like Serpent Beachy about it. It is just a draft.
Yeah, I think it's cool that they get both Cassie and Leon. Normally those characters are played by the same type of player, but I think both of them are straightforward and strong enough. And it's definitely in the case of Cassie, have been a part of the meta for long enough to be the opposite of what I was talking about maybe before we got into this game, is like a lot of people do have a Cassie. Cassie's a great solo queue character. She's been great in ranked. She's been good and competitive for a long time. She's seen a lot of different iterations and play styles, so people have a very deep understanding of the character. So great that they were able to kind of pull both these backliners off that are traditionally played by the same person.
And just shots like that, like those are the moments that I think make the difference. Like that's a shot Cassie could hit, but it's going to be a little more difficult. It's just having the Leon in the right place at the right time.
Oh!
You get a 2-for-1 right there. That should be a double kill with that dash. Yeah, so everything like looking incredible from Closar and understanding not only cooldown rotation, but like, I mean, he's just in.
He's clean,
just in
dude.
on it.
He is clean.
That entire fight.
Holy crap! What a play! What a player! What a play! That was nice stuff there from All Business. That might get the honorable mention for Esports Weekly. We'll have to see.
That was really solid.
We'll have to see. I mean, he had a hand in pretty much all 5 of those kills. Somebody respawned and then he killed them again too. So tough stuff there. Iron fist from Closar on the Leon.
And it's the one moment I think that stands out, and this is the thing I think that gives All Business that Serpent Beach, and it was kind of what you were touching on. You don't necessarily have anything that screams, this is high ground control. This is, you're going to control your balcony, and that's about it. If you lose everything. And if you can get yourself rolling, you can kind of push forward. But that was that call, right? Like right at the end where it's just like, I need to move. Like I killed the Maeve. Go. I just need to get over there.
And one thing that I kind of failed to mention, so my bad on that, is they did have Makoa, right? So they did have the, we can't get to you, but we can make you come to us if you're not careful. And a lot of those, it's not super hard to hook somebody from high to low with Makoa either. There's usually very especially if there's nobody to chase them out, right?
Yeah.
They're going to stand in kind of predictable spots. They're probably not going to be moving too much or looking behind them, really. So I don't know. I think there's reliability there with Makoa Hook. If you don't have any high ground mobility, you can always bring somebody down to you.
Come on, let's
well,
fight.
Genos is going to make his
Was Atlas
all
banned
front
last
lines.
game?
Atlas was not banned last game.
Not
he
banned,
just was
not
not
picked.
played. It's Genos, Torvald, Ash, Eevee last game. Now Ash, Eevee, and Genos all get to come through. Torvald still perma-banned as far as everyone is concerned. But this actually opens up a different avenue. So Furia didn't work too well for Blazing Hussars. I think it was just one of those moments that the enhancing what they had didn't bring anything new to the table.
Here.
But with Genos, there's always going to be the Luminary. Do you think Furia is like a good balancing point for that, or does it not really matter?
I think with the fact that it is her ultimate is a little bit of what slows it down in a way, because a lot of other supports have something really, really guaranteed. And really, it's not guaranteed when you look at Enlightenment. It's on your team to execute. It's if they don't hit any shots, if they're getting hit by a big crowd control and locked down, it's possible that you don't get anything for that. And I think, frankly, the same can be said for Genos a lot of the times. Like, I don't really, if you don't miss or if you don't hit a single time in space all game, I don't really say anything. Like, if you hit a big one, nice, dude, cherry on top. But if you miss them all, it's kind of like, okay. Like sometimes it just happens. You know, you don't quite line it up. It's good to combo with some type of CC, but people just don't do it consistently. They just don't burn a lot of like lockdown and stuff like that to line up a time and space.
Well, we get a couple of fresh picks coming in. Drogo's more than likely for Andrew Doodle, and then the Ruckus being picked up as well. I think this is admittedly a really, really strong Bright March draft from Blazing Stars.
Yeah, I think I like the Pip for All Business. That's definitely my sort of X factor. Leon as the last pick is really, really strong because this Drogos was going to be a problem for them to deal with if they didn't have that there. I like the Ruckus Pip. They both kind of go to the high ground. They both sort of like try to beat each other up in the garden box area, and it's kind of fun to watch. That's one of my favorite interactions I think that we're going to see with these two drafts.
It's going to be an interesting I want to say fight just between them, boxing match between those two. But then the Drogo's coming through, Leon to counter him out, so he's looking like he might have a rough time up in the air.
Yeah.
But this is one of those maps that it's not always Wormjet. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's combustible. Either one truly works, and that is why when you go into Bright Marsh, you kind of have to pay attention at the very beginning here if you're all business. But they are up 1-0 overall, and they do have the one win in terms of sets over the Blazing Hussars, so we're just going to have to see how exactly they can handle it as we jump down to Bright Marsh and jump down to the casters to take us through Game 2.
Thanks, guys. Time to get into Bright Marsh Game 2 here. We've jumped in to the action. Blazing Hussars looking to kind of bounce back from all business, handling their business in Game 1.
Yeah, and this is, for both of these teams, I mean, the other two teams in this region consistently being 1 and 2. I mean, these are the matchups where, despite likely not going to MSI, you look for a win, just look to improve yourself forward to next split. Starting off very well, though, are All Business having a great first map on Serpent Beach, playing their team composition to a T. And smartly, Makoa no longer in the pool here. Coriel played the Ancient Turtle very, very well on that last map.
Yeah, he certainly did. Andrew Doodle has played a lot of Drogos here. 2-2 already. Yeah, off to a nice start here for Blazing Hussars. Good fire spit, and this is a Drogo's player who's very comfortable with it, but Closar comfortable with the pip as well. Tough angles, very, very difficult. William Birkin needs to give some help, but Graffies gives the help his team needed. Andrew Doodle stays in the sky, and Closar takes the spill.
Yeah, my thing to watch is how either team either deals with Drogos if you're All Business, and Pip if you're the Hussars. You're going to look at Graffies on the Cassie to do most of that damage to the bouncing Pip, and then on the opposite side, it's really up to Leon, and then a little bit of Pip as well to deal with Drogos flying around. Getting the better of it so far are the Hussars, 93% already on the point.
And Doodle's just having a little bit of a breakaway here breakaway game on the Drogos with Luminary.
Nice.
Fire spit. How's that taste? Man, oh man, this is a very tough matchup for them. They thought that Ineffable, after how well he played on the Cassie, would be able to take the matchup against Doodle, but that has not even come close.
Yeah, and this is important for Doodle, I think. I mean, you flex him onto the Mave. He's a very, very good player, but getting him back to his roots, you throw him on the Drogos, one of the champions he's known for, and he's making All Business feel it right off the bat. Nearly! Oh my! That would have been something to see, but Doodle, regardless, I mean, that's just pressure. Even if you don't get the kill, you force them back. This payload stalled out at the moment thanks to William Birkin. But Doodle on this Drogos, this is kind of what I said. They need to find a way to answer this back. Leon, Pip, somebody needs to find some damage onto this Flying Dragon.
And what I love about his play, because, you know, when I talk about this often, I didn't always used to be the Drogos guy. I would love Drogos, but for the last 6 months or so, when I get on Paladins, I want to play this champion. And there's so many more min-max things than people realize. And hitting rockets really creates this incredible pressure that, you know, even though nothing happens there of note, that heal goes on to Closar instead of William Birkin. If someone else can follow up with that, I mean, Andrew Doodle's putting people in a great position to make plays. And again, that heal's going to go to Closar, but now look how low both of them are, and you're essentially going to get 2 kills for that value.
It's the follow-up damage, as you said. You burn the heal onto yourself, onto Closar. Now William Birkin has no health, nothing left to fight with in this case. And there's Graffies, follows up on the damage, cleans up William Birkin. Now it's a 4v5 going in here towards the end. Assert Dominance is going to buy a little bit of time for All Business. Once that wears out, I'll be happy with it.
And that Assert Dominance is done. Coriel realizing that was his ult, and not much occurred from it. Hexafire here to try to settle it up. Kamiker also been fantastic supporting on this Ruckus, getting a lot of burst. Toot holding it down. This should be the push, and it is. Oh boy, oh boy.
Wow. This is a Hussars team that you can tell is just playing more comfortably here. In this one, not necessarily for any by and large reason, but they're just on champions that I think they feel a little bit better about. They're on a map where their champions work better. You don't have a Makoa, a Cassie, a Leon, all smashing you in the face repeatedly over and over and over again. I think they've put themselves in a better chance to succeed here. Ultimates all hitting on par. Doodle having a beautiful game on the Drogos up to this point. And that's opened up the door well enough. 416, 625, 20. I mean, everyone on the Hussars is having a game right now.
There's a ton of burst as well. I mean, just this Luminary is tilting the draft so heavily in Blazing Hussars' favor. And credit to where credit's due. Crafty S is performing, and Andrew Doodle is as well. As well as Kammaker and Toot doing a great job. Obviously, Surrette's healing everybody when they need to, but Kammaker and Toot creating a lot of great space, fulfilling their roles with the burst. There's a wall just to separate them for now. I don't think they've decided they wanted to commit, and the point is got a dome shield on it.
And this is all about how you can follow up. I mean, they sent Toot not to the point where you would normally put an Inara, but around to the opposite side to block off all business. So Blazing Hussars now are at an advantage in the ensuing team fight, and they make good on it so far. The Pip is going to be the first one to go down, and Kammaker is able to force his way out here. And look at that, Toot is still, he has Coriel and Ineffable and Xenost, basically 3 members over there off to the side, all paying attention to the Inara. And the rest of the Blazing Hussars now are able to push through and get onto the point. Oh no, he was trying to get vision. Ends up eating a salvo instead. He heals himself up and gets away, but that could have been horrible for all business.
And again, it's pressure that then that heal is down maybe in this instant right when he wants it, and then it forces William Birkin to be a little bit more susceptible. And then maybe Coriel has to go out on a limb and try to create some offensive pressure because the defensive utility isn't there. All of this stuff, sometimes just a snowball, a collapse of the amount of damage you can do. Ineffable gets a huge trade, though, a triple kill. He's looking for the quadra. He can't quite hit it.
Oh, no.
But, oh, my God, that was enough. A quadra kill, essentially, from Ineffable is what they needed to turn this game around.
And, you know, that looked like it was in the Hussars. Well, it looked like it was done and dusted there for them, but
it's about
strong individual performance can turn any team fight on its head. The Moxie healing largely going on to Closar, but William Birkin doing a good job of keeping the rest of his team alive, putting Ineffable in a position where he can do that.
Great Rockets.
Doodle has not been missing very much, if at all, so far on this Drogos, really making his presence felt.
It's like a Bomb King, you know? When a Bomb King hits all his shots, it's just, it's so hard. It's almost impossible. What you're counting on is that what balances this character is you can't hit all your shots. It's a projectile. You know, people are moving and dodging, and they see it coming a little bit. If you have 977 splashing you with another 900 following up in an AoE and then a salvo that could finish you off, I mean, that character, it's just nuts stuff that Andrew Doodle's able to do. And single-handedly, I think, holding back the swarm of all business from pushing.
It really is. It really is on him at this point. Oh, that's a good salvo. 100% of those shots hit. Ineffable's back to base now, looking for a little follow-up damage onto Closar. And that's been the storyline. is can I burn the self-heal? Can I force Pip to use the healing onto himself? And Doodle has done that time and time again up to this point. All business, though. They find some pressure. They find just enough poke to force the Hussars back. Another heal goes on to Pip, which is, I mean, not necessarily unheard of. A lot of the healing tends to go onto the Pip anyway. It's sort of a 1v1 champion in that sense. But 50 seconds left. All business, despite so much pressure coming at them, have been able to push this payload forward.
Yeah. And you expect it, you see it, and the difference is the timing that it happens when he's not wanting it, when he's not applying pressure, because then he has a moment where he is not able to get aggressive, which is where Pip really succeeds. But when you allow the momentum on Bright Marsh to kind of take over and you don't find killing blows, that's where things like this happen. A 2-2 push occurs. And what really changes the deal here, obviously the Enlightenment, obviously the headshots, and that's a big one. But it's the Enlightenment. This is really the key here because the salvo comes out right now, and he avoids enough of the damage to stay alive with about 300 health. The lower third came in right when that was happening, but that was the crucial play. If he dies there, I think Andrew Doodle can snowball the rest of the fight.
And I mentioned it right after it. Just a strong individual performance there. I mean, he had healing, had some help from the rest of his team, of course, but a quadra kill flips that fight on its head. Allows all business to push out 6-4 and 5. I mean, in that fight, of his 6 kills, 4 of them were in that little time frame right there. So the Hussars, they started off very, very strongly. They're going with a similar sort of rotation to what they did last time, sending Toot around that far side to try to zone out some of the members of all business. Yeah, lots of damage coming in onto the barrack as well. This fight's going on off in that small corner there, but Ineffable's able just to sit back and find some damage.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with this, although it's a nice group effort. Ineffable, no pressure whatsoever. You've got to get him off the board. He was a big difference maker with the Cassie. Can he do it here? The Enlightenment. Oh my God, it finds Graffi S, but Toot picks up a big kill, and he's still alive. Not quite healthy. Coriel does land, and William Birkin's still on the point.
the assert dominance for Coriol as well. Everyone else is just going to back off and move the opposite direction. Shots are good onto Doodle. Closar finds a kill onto Toot Toot as well. And all business, it's almost like they're able to absorb the initial pressure, outlast what the Hussars throw them right off the bat, and then find the right moment to turn things around. A Hexafire is going to turn around onto Coriol. Oh, the shoulder bash, though, is going to get him out. 4 kills for all business and some well-timed ultimate. Seal, point number 3.
And you can see the impact. The second we have a point fight where Andrew Doodle isn't finding that type of pressure, where he's not getting those killing blows, things shift drastically for all business in their favor, and they now are in the lead in a game that they were 2-0 down.
Yep. It's the big difference now. I don't want to rest it squarely on Doodle's shoulders, but we've felt that Drogo's presence sort of less as we've seen all business come back in this game. It's 3-2 now. Doodle still making his presence felt, but it's just not the same as what we saw early on. He was really dictating the pace of this game up to this point. And it's really just thanks to all business finding an answer for it. They found the damage. They're finding the right places to fight that dispel enough of the Drogo's damage. Enlightenment's going to go a little bit wide, but Ineffable finds a kill regardless.
Yeah.
They could push this one through.
And I think if this goes 3-0 and then maybe even 3-1, I think that Blazing Stars still have a good chance to win. But Ineffable turns it squarely around with a really tremendous play and a min-max. And, you know, I think it's whoever survives that survives the game. Graphies here, though, taking down Closar, which is big. Toot Toot, though, is in a really bad spot, and they've just spaced the floor out so nicely. Good adjustments here from all business. They're looking to close. They've still got 1 minute and 10 seconds, though, Dave, to get just about an inch.
You got to find Ineffable in these fights. Time and time again, he's able to stay back. He had maybe a quarter health left in that one, and the healing was good back onto him. William Birkins keeping him topped off, but he's also just playing so well. That's a tiny little hut there on the left side of your screen, and he just danced around it, and they weren't able to find him. That's where they need some of that AoE damage from Doodle. First shot is going to be good onto Closar, so it's a 4v5, but still 45 seconds left. Looks like they're just going to back off, regroup, try to get together as a team, maybe poke out a little bit in the meantime, but this is the guy who needs to really figure out this defense for his team, find some of that AoE zoning damage, and help out the rest of the Hussars.
But Ineffable's kept them under lock and key as of now. I mean, hitting that imminence, you know, made sure Andrew Doodle couldn't poke them so that they can get here now with no worries. And they break into the back line. They get a nice dunk onto Coriol. This looks like it should do because he's just in too aggressive a position. I don't see any way that they're going to be able to stop this one. 7 seconds to go, but overtime probably not even going to happen here. I think the damage just has been done. And this could be a full push. William Birkin just to commit with the dome shield. 20,000 shielding. It's just enough to barely get through it. But all business secure the victory right after.
And that's the meta of aggressive frontliners comes out to play there.
Yes.
Coriol really wins that team fight for his team. The damage comes out, of course, from the rest of his teammates.
Yeah.
But throwing that banner down on the high ground, zoning out the rest of the Hussars. All business. They're just firing on all cylinders right now.
Getting the big game Cassie out of play at that last 0.5 minute. All those tanks were kind of uninhibited to do what they wanted to do, and you could see the dome shield just sealed the deal. I was going to say shield
the deal. It did, both.
Kind of did, right? Let's send it back to the desk. Get ready for a potential, well, I guess, Game 3 that could close the set.
Well, if you ignore the one moment where you were saying that he didn't throw down his shield, Coriol did incredibly well on that Ashe, and I think it opened up. There's like it was just one moment where he's in like a 1v1 with Ruckus, and he just never shielded. But after that, everything was perfectly clean, and that's what helped him win the round.
Just kind of a funny comment I made. Like the Ruckus was going to touch, was not really concerned with Ashe at all, and just kind of walked right by him, and then started to Hexafire, but then the dome shield was there, so then he turned around, and Coriol just like took it on the chin, almost died to it. Funny stuff there, great performance from him, but I did want to talk about this Pip. I enjoyed Pip on this map. I love Pip in general, just because of how jack of all tradesy he is. He can be such an X factor. He can really fall flat on his face, or he can turn up very hard for the team and make things absolutely difficult, nigh impossible at times for the enemy team. Bringing such a big ultimate Evil Mojo, charging very quickly. You can see going into the morale boost when he's got the spare cash to do so. Loved it.
And it's one of those interesting moments where, I mean, you're looking at it first off, Graphies 13 and 9. A lot of positive slash lines on the side of Blazing Hussars. Pip was 7 and 10. Like he didn't come through and like just demolish everybody who happened to stand in his way. It is just the impact he was able to have, healing output, as well as the damage numbers that he kind of applies to this. That sets things up between him and a Leon. It's almost inescapable.
Yeah, he's really tough to like even build against because he does like everything well enough. You know what I mean? If you're firing on all cylinders, you're doing good healing, spot healing that is. You're doing good damage. You're providing good control. So it's like, man, I kind of want to buy blast shields against this, but I also need to cauterize this heal, but I also need resilience for this ultimate. I mean, Pip just feels like he brings so much when you play him well in combination with having some of the best mobility in the game. If you understand these maps and you understand how to kind of wall jump with the weightless, and even Bittner sometimes will hit like a little rocket jump, wall jump to get himself even higher. It's a crazy character, man. He could just be anywhere, doing anything that you need him to do. A lot of fun and a character that I just always wish you could play. I could play a little bit better.
And it was even those last few seconds of those last clips where it's just like they're looking to push it in, try to get the 4-2, and partially it is Ashe that opens up a lot of that space, but Pip just on the side jumps up and is like, cool, hey, here's 2 DPS and they're chicken. I don't even have to kill them. For 4 seconds, they're just out of this fight.
Yeah, it's tough to play against because, like I mentioned, you only have so much cash when you're playing against Pip. We are going to be playing on Stone Keep there, so could potentially see it again.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily that we will.
Not the hottest map for him.
Really depends how the bans go. I think people will play Pip here at times, but we can move on from that conversation now. Bans starting to come through. Khan will be banned. Ashe has been a very highly prioritized pick. Not only because she's open, but sometimes even with Khan open, she still goes with high priority. She is going to be open and available again here, but so is Atlas.
This is actually one of those interesting moments where I think we saw this a little bit yesterday, saw it a little bit last week as well with some of the matchups in the PPL even, where Genos will be banned in the first set.
You're out of
as
time.
we don't want him, or we're not going to grab him first, and we don't want you to grab him first. And then the second set, it doesn't get banned, and then the team that lost the first map will grab him, and then it won't be enough to make them win the game. And then Blazing Hussars follow the path of, well, it didn't work for us, and we definitely don't want them to have it, so we might as well ban it and just hope that we get everything. But Ashe does go first. Bomb King comes second, but Ashe and Atlas are the first 2 picks.
And business with some pretty high priority on the Damba here. With Genos banned out, they don't want to have be forced into something like the Furia, like the Ceres, like the Ying.
Yeah.
And I think Ying is the one, right? A lot of the more OG PPL supports, Garrett, Spunky, they're not afraid to pull out Ying, so they don't need to put that priority on the support early in the draft. They can focus on grabbing damage picks and other high priority stuff because they can just operate with. They know what to do with Ying to make her safe, and I don't think everyone is that way. I don't think hasn't really been meta for a long time. So if you don't have that character sort of wrapped up, buttoned up, and knowing kind of what you're doing on it, then it can fall pretty flat.
Well, if there's going to be at least one support who, in this matchup, isn't afraid to pull out the Ying, it's going to be Surret's. And so he's going to be pulling her out for the Blazing Hussars. This is, I would say, again, on paper, I'd give this 5 gold stars for a Stone Keep draft. It just comes down to execution.
Yeah, pretty scary. Atlas can be very tough to execute upon, so that's going to be it's a huge ask, right? With no backline dive, though, I think this Kinessa can be fairly safe and provide a ton of damage and ability for these guys to be locked down. It has that nice little line of sight across to the broken wall as people are coming across. Maybe get a dismount, lucky big shot, stuff like that. Sets up a nice frozen orb. There's a lot of potential with this draft, but it has to be executed on. And if they fail, you're right, all business. That draft is too easy to pull off.
I think Blazing Hussars, in this case, they have the tried and true, and all business are reaching out there a little bit. They've got the Amani, the Atlas, and then the spicy Kinessa. That has been big on Stone Keep in the past, but a couple of changes made it not quite as much. Let's see what the casters think about this as we go into what could be the last map of the set.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I'm with you on that one. I'm excited to see the Kinessa.
Best
We've
Paladins
seen her
game.
best Paladins game
You'll ever see.
I think so.
I think it's easy to say.
Envy Navi last week was...
No, this is
going to topple it?
It's going to be better.
All right, we're going to topple it right here. I mean, we're
Right
setting
now.
ourselves up for nothing but success. There's
Nothing.
no way this could backfire.
Certainly, this won't backfire. Surely. I won't regret saying that.
Check in with us in the next 15, 20 minutes, and we'll either have forgotten all about what we just said, or we'll really double down.
Said
and
what?
Say,
What'd I say?
I didn't say that.
I didn't say it.
No, I'm excited about the Kinessa on this map, though. It's not. I wouldn't say snipers have come back to Stone Keep, but over the last few weeks, we've seen a couple squeeze their way through. I mean, Kammaker is about as divey as you get on the Hussars side of things. So that's really what they need. They need to find a way to get pressure in onto Ineffable, because if you're able to just sit back and free fire on Kinessa, you're going to have a hard time. She's going to hold down this angle here.
And
get
good
a couple
shot.
dismounts.
Very good shot.
Half chunk damage on the Cassie going into that point fight, or that fight now, up on the high ground. Even just one shot can turn the tide of things.
Impressed that she dropped down. I mean, obviously, All Business now having that early kill means that they can push as much as they want to just holding on to deny as much objective capture as he can. 12% though for All Business as they give up an early 36 for the lead, but they'll soon overtake it here with 1:20 gone by. Good setback here as well on a Kammaker.
The zone though, the zone is so heavy. I mean, they're only up to 51%, but they're just chunking away. It's now this ensuing fight, because the Hussars did get enough on the point where they could maybe win one team fight and win this set. That's a good setback. Kammaker gets delivered to the doorstep of Coriol. Hussars just free firing from up top. Ineffable in the back line as well, free firing away. There's a snipe onto Toot Toot. And All Business, they have a very calculated offense here, finding the zone, finding point number 1.
Coriol doing his best Amazon Prime driver impression there. The perfect delivery. Right on time.
Which is weird. They ordered it like 30 seconds ago.
30 seconds ago. There's 2-day shipping and there's 30-second shipping. Coriol's on a whole other level and deserves Employee of the Month, that's for sure. 2 minutes now as All Business in the lead, in points in the lead in the set. Looking to maybe head forward. Hussars, a nice kill on the 2-2. Ineffable trying to line up these headshots. Kinessa proving to be valuable here.
And that's what I mentioned going into game. You need pressure on the back line right now. If you're the Hussars, they can't even make it through the front line. There's just too much. Atlas, Inara, especially with Amani. I mean, the rest of the 4 of All Business are doing such a good job of zoning the Hussars out from even sniffing a chance of doing some damage onto Ineffable. No. He walks around the corner. You don't want to see a dragon when you walk around the corner. He gets himself out.
I mean,
he's gonna die anyway.
Yeah, I mean, imagine he rounds the corner, then sees a dragon come out, and it's just not a good look for those just casually moving about in a castle. But, you know, he's not the only one who's seen that this week, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The Illusory Rift as well is going to keep the Hussars in this fight just a little bit longer, a 1-for-1 trade. Ineffable on the 5 streak on the Kinessa. Toot Toot just holding around that corner. It looks like they've held for the moment. And they're going to set their line in the sand right here at this initial underpass, and All Business are going to have to break through. They have 50 seconds left here. Kammaker is going to be the one leading this charge off to the side. And this is where Ineffable really needs to make his presence felt. It's not as straightforward as the point fight is necessarily. He can plug away at a few coming right out of base, but when you get these high ground sides, Ineffable kind of has to do some maneuvering to find the damage that he was initially.
Absolutely. They're playing out of line of sight, or more so, Ineffable's not playing in their line of sight, really trying to be safe about where he stands. He hasn't died, I don't think, in this game. He's on a 5 streak, and so he's 4-0-1. He's found some killing blows. In fact, the only person to have died is Hussars in the lineup of All Business. So, I mean, that should bode well. Steady aim here, rocking in favor of the sniper.
Now the question is follow-up damage. You can plug away at Cassie all day, but if the rest of your team isn't in a position to actually clean up the kill, it's not going to matter when the healing comes through. Hussars, though, he's been the one with the follow-up damage. Assert dominance comes down. That's a good setback. Gets him out of his circle. And the little body block, I think he was able just to edge into there. But now the Exiles come out, and this is where you have to look. Couple go in. Doodle stalled out just for the moment. Oh,
Are
the
you
knockback
kidding
knocks
me?
off the shot. Well played, Graffies, but it might not be enough. 3 are down. In All Business, they could push this one in.
And you can see Toot Toot forced to drop to the ground. Hussars finally takes the kill. It should be a push, but man, it lasted quite a while. A brilliant effort from Hussars and a great disengage to surprise Coriol off the map. But wasn't enough.
Ooh,
great setback there. And second chance.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned sort of the Ineffable, the Kinessa factor in this game from her point of view, but now you look at the opposite side. The job now of All Business is to get into the face of the Hussars and not allow them sort of beyond the line that they draw.
Yeah.
Coriol, the rest of All Business are doing a great job of saying, all right, we're gonna take the fight to you, be up in your face, and that's gonna allow Knessa on the back line to just free fire away, and Ineffable has done just that. Healing is good as well from Xenost in this case. Trying to keep up those Surrettes, but there's just too much pressure, I think, going on to him.
This game has been heavily contested, even though it's a 2-0, and only Graphies has gotten a kill on the side of Blazing Hussars. Yeah. He's got 2.
There it is. I mean, this is the flank.
I mean, this is it.
Ooh,
I think she was a good target. She's got the scout. She knows where everyone is. She could see if someone tries to flank her. Enough damage to get in and out. But at this point, yeah, maybe Xenos a better target, but not if he stuns you. Illusory Rift and the Life Exchange Ying healing not enough to save her. Oh, man, oh, man.
And that's, I mean, it's the right idea. Ineffable has been able to sit back, free fire, so let's try a flank. Unfortunately, you meet 3 members of All Business right around that corner, nearly winning a couple one-on-ones, but not this time. The Dragon finds a little bit of damage, but gets taken out. All Business back on the point. 93% though for the Hussars. Just enough back and forth to start things off that the Hussars were able to get onto the point here. The Dome Shield's going to come out as well, but he's so low. Bowling Ball gives him a little shielding and gets him out.
That's the big, I think that's the big feint. I mean, obviously he's got that shield, he's got that movement, so even though he looks low and he says, well, let me bite, let me try and get a kill, it's not going to happen. Seismic Crash, I think, should come out now. Yeah, it is. There's the stun. Corio's going to find 2 Ineffable. He's going to find another. Graphies, again, the only person finding kills and now getting killed himself, and it's a 3-0 for Blazing Hussars.
I mean, off the bat, I would have said Ineffable would have been the one who's getting these points in, but Corio is having a game and a half on this Atlas right now. So aggressive, hitting his shots, hitting multiple setbacks. The Exiles were good to help the last payload go through as well. He's just playing like a man out of time right now, playing like an Amazon delivery driver who hasn't. He's really up against the clock here.
He's up against the clock.
The order was placed 2 days ago, and we're setting on the midnight hour, and he's really rushing, trying to push this one in, and he's done a beautiful job of it so far.
Listen, even if the order was made 4 days ago at midnight, he can give himself a second chance, rewind 2 days, and then make it to the doorstep in time. I mean, that's the benefit of Atlas if he ever decided to be an Amazon, a UPS, FedEx, hey, any of them, driver.
I mean, look at that. He takes a 2v1 with Doodle and Kamaker, cleans up one, gets half the health of the other. He's just playing Atlas to a T.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, he takes 2 1v1s because he takes one 1v1, then he goes back in time and he takes another 1v1. Right. It's just OP. It
is OP. He's playing it well, though. Well, I'm excited to see. I don't think Ineffable's died at all this game through all of this. Yeah, still 7-0-6. Closar as well, 9-4-10. William Birkin, 3-0-11. Everyone on All Business. This is the most aggressive we've seen Ineffable get. Nearly loses the trade because of it. Some ultimates starting to fly either way, but it's Corio. Who else with the opening kill?
Big heal. Nice exile. I really have liked Corio's decision-making on those. And he's just going to do it again. I like this sometimes, too. Get that front line out of play for as long as possible. Andrew Doodle, though, cleaning up kills finally. But he goes down in the process. William Birkin most likely going to fall here as well. This is the first full collapse, and it's really the first commit on the push from All Business where they don't just back off and kind of reset.
They were really just trying to throw it there. I mean, the important thing to look at, though, they used some ultimates. Headhunter, the Exile, Seismic Crash, Blazing Hussars still have Assert Dominance, King Bomb. I mean, I guess Vision, if you count that as a game-changing ultimate, you'll be able to see where they're coming from. Not that it's going to be of any surprise to anyone, but that was a big stand. Doodle as well, finding Atlas right off the bat, especially with 5 seconds left. It's going to be on the rest of the 4 of All Business to turn this one around.
And right now, he's trying to find the healer, but he needs to go and find the sniper. I think that's the most important decision. He does get Xenost off, but Ineffable still firing away, trying to pick off Graphies. That's the key, because Graphies, she's the one, the Cassie, who's going to finish this all off.
Only 1 death so far for the Knessa in this case. Ooh, still plugging away. That's been the matchup that has been this final point, is Graphies trying to poke his head out and find some damage and not eat too much of it in return. That's a good Dread Serpent, but here comes the Dragon. This could be game-changing.
Oh, and the Dragon.
Nope.
Maybe he gets... Dave says
I set it up for so much success, and then it immediately died.
Oh, Dave. Oh, Dave. Nope. I think this game's going to end on your nope.
I think it is. I think there's nothing.
Well, I guess it was huge because at the end of the day, it does get the win.
Here it comes. It's
Here
gonna
it be huge. Nope. All right.
It turned the eyes. Graphius had
That's
to kill
life,
the
though.
dragon.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Ineffable was able to free fire, find
You're
a
right.
couple kills.
Dave's right. Guys, Dave's
Galaxy Brain Dave over here.
right. Unbelievable.
4-0 though. I mean, all business. They just look really clean today, playing their compositions to a T. Well played all across the board.
I do appreciate all business finishing this set cleanly, committing at the end. It actually was a game of a lack of commitment. Usually a lot of 4-0s end at about 6 minutes because they're so one-sided. But this 4-0 had contest on the point every time, had contest on the defense till the very last moment in overtime, and it did that 2 times in a row. So a very odd 4-0, but it's a 4-0 that I think shows all business. Despite working hard, we're able to make sure they made some clinical plays as well, not just put in the effort, execute on that effort also. It's going to be a 3-0 for them as we start the day of the PML. Let's send it back to the desk and get ready to keep the day going.
I don't think I've seen anyone try to claw back from a 3-0 more than Andrew Doodle. Like that one moment where it's just like Bomb King's just like, I'm going to get a triple kill, and you guys just had to do something here.
It's tough, man.
And
that was
unfortunately,
a very contested game.
all
indeed.
business are just really good.
They unfortunately are. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. They have a lot of great players, Ineffable, Coriel, as well, stepping up to the plate, I think, today, and executing on that comp that was not easy to do, I think, especially with William Birkin being so preoccupied with the point. Coriel does a great job with Atlas, being that off-tank role, being aggressive, making enough space for not only him to get some good kills. I mean, 10 and 3, come on. This is kind of crazy at this point. And a lot of these slash lines looking so clean. And you need that type of space when you pull out a Kinessa on Stone Keep, because it's a bit of a ballsy pick here.
And these were just good shots. This is the one thing I think I've looked at a lot with Kinessa on this map is that admittedly you have 2-3 areas that you can really play her on Stone Keep because of how zoomed in you get, but every single one of those spots gives you point control and can give you a push control around this last little bit. Like, he never had to leave this area, but it's perfect line of sight onto the high ground.
Yeah.
And man, was he hitting some good shots.
I love it, man. I love it. That's what you got to do with that character. That's all she does. With that win, all business are going to move to 3 and 7, minus 12 there. But the big one is, of course, Sour Team versus Penta. These two guys, close. As you can see, they're separated by 7 maps. So assuming a 3-0 from Sour Team today, that would be a 6-game swing, and Sour Team would only be behind by 1 map. Is that likely? No, but that is the possibility. That is that they can get themselves in first. It just is out of their hands at this point.
What is it? I think every team plays each other, 4 times throughout all this? The first 3 times they've gone against each other was 5 maps, and then the last time Penta 3-0'd Sour Team.
That's like,
so
yeah.
that's going to be the one that's going to be interesting to see. Is Penta going to be able to do that again and kind of solidify themselves as #1, or can Sour Team do, like you said, at least claw back some of the 7 maps? It's not something impossible to get back, but it's definitely going to be pretty difficult to do. But again, that's going to be Penta and Sour Team, the top 2 in EU, both of them going to the MSI as of now. The question is, what order will they be in? We're going to have to find that out right after this break.
The Paladins Minor League, brought to you by Skillshot, High Res, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.